Another 15 days with another banker, man. This stuff is insane. I know I said previously that the last chapter was the best this year, but this one just took it to another level. Definitely the best so far. Man, we've got a lot of things to talk about, so let's just get to it. The chapter cover is actually a spoiler, with Saitama about to grab a sword with a quote that says hostility and malice in one hand. The chapter continues from the previous one, with Void unleashing multiple slashes on Blast, but this time he actually pierced him with his sword. He after raises him up and tells him, instead of trying to wake me up, you are the one who should really wake up. He also says to Blast that he recently heard that a pro hero had become the head of a virtual business and he thought that's probably true. But it's been that way for a long time, since you are a person who preaches about ideals and makes those around him unhappy. To be perfectly honest, I'm not really sure what Void is talking about here. Is he referring to Blast or maybe his son Blue? Since we know that Blue is the head of the new organization called the Neo Heroes. The translations aren't out yet and this part is still unclear to me. But Void after asks Blast if he has kids, and judging by the way Blast reacted, it's safe to assume that Void was talking about Blue, but I could be wrong. So this piece of lore is telling us that maybe Blast neglected his family and all around him, hence that's why he said you're a person who makes everybody around you unhappy. But just after Void confirms that Blast has kids by seeing Blast's eyes shaken a bit when he mentioned it, Flash actually jumps in to protect Blast and tries to decapitate Void, but the latter reacted and blocked it easily. Blast tells Flash not to interfere, but Flash notes that Blast should have aimed for Void's weakness from the start and tells Void that this is something that he has learned from his village. Void didn't even reply and slashes Flash in his stomach with a speed that Flash couldn't really comprehend. Sonic also tried to kick Void, but the latter dodged it by teleporting to the higher dimension. It's really crazy that Void seems to be the character that doesn't mess around at all. He had Blast in his grasp and could have dealt with both Sonic and Flash easily, but this guy just chooses to perform an overkill move, which is the dimensional slash, since now neither Sonic, Flash or Blast can dodge it. And just when it's about to hit the three of them and Void taking the clear W, the dimensional slash somehow just stopped. It just wasn't moving anymore. Blast, Void and Sonic were visibly shocked. And just to reveal that the person who stopped it is obviously none other than Saitama with his bare hands, something that the cover has spoiled from the beginning. And it seems like Saitama stopped it simply because it was going to hurt Manako, or maybe by pure chance Void unleashed the slash specifically in Saitama's way, and since it's something that could hurt others, Saitama chose to stop it. Void after is shocked that the sword wouldn't even move, and says that there is absolutely no way there are things that could stop the dimensional slash, the same thing that is capable of cutting space itself. He after tries to unleash another slash from the higher dimension with his left hand, but Saitama once again stopped it with ease. Saitama seems to recognize that this slash is the same as the one that almost destroyed the hero's headquarters, which led him to after physically drag empty Void out of the higher dimension and slams him into the ground. This exact panel happened in the webcomic, but we had no idea how that whole thing came to be, but thanks to the manga, now we know. Blast actually is worried about Void since he screamed his name, as we know he is actively trying not to kill him. This feat of Saitama is actually mind-blowing, and I wouldn't really talk about what it means and how insane of a feat this is power scaling wise, maybe in another video, but nonetheless, Saitama stripped Void of his swords, resulting into obviously gravely nerfing him since now he can't perform the dimensional slash. And just after Void realizes that, both Sonic and Flash try to attack him. Listen guys, I gotta say that I'm very amazed that Flash is still in the fight. He took a full head-on slash from an avatar of God and he still is not out. And on top of that, he and Sonic still has the courage and will to attack an entity like this, knowing well they could be dying at any second. Something that Darkshine should learn in the future. Alright, going back to the chapter, Void performs a hand sign that we've seen him perform before, seemingly to escape to the higher dimension. But boy, Blast continues to impress the hell out of me and performs this crazy feat where he redirects his blood and nerve signals from the amputated area to the other part of his arms, just to make it functional again, fist bumping it and teleporting towards the same coordinates as Void, electrocuting him with the same energy they tried on the monsters in the headquarters. Blast remembers the conversation he had with Sitch and tells him that saving Void's life should be the be top priority even if it endangers him. And to be perfectly honest, this conversation is very vague due to my own attempt of translating it, and I'm sure when the official translation drops, we would understand the whole concept. Void's light, after repelled this attempt, both of them were separated, then because of this whole sharing these same experiments, overlapping the umbrellas, Blast was able to connect with one of Void's memories, seeing the vision that Void had after his hand touched the cube, revealing how God was able to completely manipulate and tempt Void. And it was actually by transforming into what seems to be Blast's wife and Blue's mother. This is the very first time we see this woman, giving us a glimpse of Blast's lore as a character, and I gotta say, I'm really here for it. So this can mean two things, or at least that's what my interpretation was for this scene. It's either that Void had a thing for Blast's wife, maybe he used to love her and accepted God's hand because he wanted her all along, which seems to be logical to think about at first glance. Or maybe this woman, Blast's wife, is actually Void's sister, maybe something happened to her before, and seeing her again made him make the mistake of taking God's hand. In both cases, this is very interesting to see, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it. This chapter ends with Blast being surprised of what he saw and Void having this angry expression. For me, this chapter is a 10 out of 10 chapter. Not only did we get some lore behind Void and Blast as characters, but also got to see Saitama completely embarrasses Void and performs this crazy feat, overcoming such an overpowered hacks with ease. We also got to see Flash and Sonic somehow being not completely useless, being able to distract Void for Blast to fist bump and teleport again. And since his severed hand isn't smashed or damaged and it seems to be a clean cut, something tells me that if Blast can redirect his nerve signals, all they need to do is to sew or reattach his arm again. I'm also very happy that Void wasn't one-shotted by Saitama and the fight is still continuing. But nonetheless, a really good chapter and I can't wait to see the next one. Until next time, please take good care.